Okay, some other things that we really want to understand when we're dealing with correlation in relationships. I think a major thing that we want to understand is the strength and the direction of the relationship. Okay, is it positive? Is it negative? I mean, I think that kind of seems common. Is the line upward sloping or downward sloping? This helps us determine if it's a positive decision and or positive relationship and how they're related so that we can better make or take advantage of opportunities, prevent risks. The more that we can understand this relationship, simply positive or negative, we can better prepare our company or business uh, for for those events that happen. If the relationship is a negative one, well, maybe we need to prepare things, uh, more of a defensive position, or if it's a positive relationship, maybe more of an aggressive situation. So it's simple and straightforward, but really we want to prepare. We want to think about this type of relationship, either positive or negative, or even more complex, as we'll see. Okay, we use this to help us make decisions. So one of the important things that we want to do is we want to identify the key drivers in, let's say, our business problem that we're trying to work on, that we're trying to support. We want to identify the key drivers that are going to support that decision, that are going to help our income, really optimize the strategy, make things I kind of work better, I guess you would say, but make things move in the direction that we want to. We want to understand, if we can understand what is key in driving, this is the factor that we're concerned about. We can understand the things that most impact that are going to be the ones that are the ones that we should focus on, the key drivers of our situation. Okay. We also want to think, as we go through this, we talked a lot about the bivariate relationship, but we're going to come to a point where we need to think of a more multivariate situation where, and that kind of really true, that life doesn't really happen just, you make one decision that, it just affects one thing. When you make decisions, usually it affects multiple impacts, or it has multiple impacts, even if you don't want it to. Okay, so we want to really understand how many of our variables work together to impact our target, the thing that we're concerned about. Or on the other side, we want to understand how this relationship will affect this one feature, will this one X variable will affect many different targets, or the impact of it more in a multivariate relationship. Just thinking about, there's going to be more than one thing that could be caused by making this decision. So we want to understand all of those and how they work together, how they could be positive, how they could be negative, and really prepare for those as best we can. Okay, and use the data to help us prepare. Okay, so thinking of this, to help us remember, we got a fun little mnemonics here. I have a question. Have you recently made a big life decision? Okay. So most of my students, the ones that they have offered to me, just because I can't hear you, you might be in the same situation as lots of my students, is they had recently switched jobs, or they've been thinking about changing their job. And I mean, I think that really works, because really that's a big decision. Where you go every day is a big part of your life. And so the one thing we want to think about is we want to put a lot of thought into that decision, because it really could change the whole direction of your life, right? If you choose one job versus the other, the direction, you can't really get away from the fact that it's going to change the direction of your life. And so you want to think about, really every big decision that we have, we want to think of it as, or consider the impact, the direction that's going to have on many features in our life. Before we would make this decision, we I think this is something that we do. We think through all of the things that we want to identify. That could be the positives, the negatives, all of the things that are going to go into impacting this decision. And really, even as you're preparing your job resume, you want to think about all the things that could support that decision, right? So we really want to identify what are the key drivers. You want to look at what the job posting is. You want to identify what skills I have and what skills are appropriate for this job, right? So you want to identify the key drivers when you're making this decision, and you want to do kind of as thorough of a job as possible, because making a wrong decision here, it really changes, could set your life in the wrong direction. And, it's hard to change once you make that change. Okay. On a multivariate basis, we want to really think of the impact our decision is going to have, right? So getting a job is great. You're going to get hopefully more money, maybe less money. there's more to consider than just that, right? I think this is how we just naturally think as well. Is we're just trying to give it more of a structure to the way we think. But we really do think of things in a multivariate basis. We understand intuitively that there are more impacts and more factors going into a decision than just X, more money. I want this job for more money. Really, you have to think the benefits and stuff like that kind of along the money line, but also who are you working with? What type of work are you going to do? Because even data analysis is kind of a broad category. Maybe you want to be a business analyst. Maybe your data analyst job is going to be more on SQL versus Python. And we really have to think through, do you like writing in SQL, right? Is that something you really want to spend your time doing? Or do you really want to get to the analysis? Do you want to be building pipelines, or do you want to actually be doing the analysis all day long? And so even your colleagues as well, because you think one relationship goes bad with one colleague, you're not getting along with one colleague, that's going to affect a lot more things than just that relationship. That colleague could talk to other people, could put you in a bad frame of reference with lots of your colleagues as well, your boss even. And so that could be quite, could be quite damaging. We want to think about that all of our decisions really are usually, the inputs are usually more than one factor in how we make that decision, but it also could be affecting many things. And it's a good life lesson as well. But we want to be considering all of those factors, all of those positive and negative results or potential results from making any decision in